Hello, everybody, and welcome to our monthly webinar going over the aspects of the Aladtec scheduling system. My name is Dave Snyder. I'm sure I've talked to many of you over our support calls over the months and years here. We also have Nadine and Nancy on the line here to help you with your questions through the questions panel in our GoToWebinar, of course, and Jesse handling all our tech support and production in the background for all our slides and everything here. So thank them for that. Today, we are going to be talking about repeats and rotations and, of course, block time associated with that. The webinar is being recorded, so if you were not able to join today, it is going to be emailed to you via link just as every month, and you'll be able to share that with anybody that you like and watch it at your leisure. And of course, once we have it all set up and finalized, we'll post it out there in your help section in your system, and you can reference the webinar, of course, at any point in the future and review it as you wish, and then share it with anybody else, including anybody outside the system who may not be using Aladtec and maybe want to learn about what are the things it can do. You can share it with them as well for other coordinated effort there. So we appreciate that. So what are we going to be talking today? This is everybody's favorite subject, of course, repeats and rotations. Now, the functionality in the system allows you to, easily put in the repeating pattern of shifts over a range of time, so you don't have to go day by day. Today's agenda is going to kind of jump ahead of the basics of repeats and rotations. We're going to kind of dive into the deeper end, and hopefully you have some experience with repeats and rotations already, and this is just an opportunity for you to learn some, maybe tips and tricks on how to manage this. It is one of our more popular subject matters of the support line, so we hope you continue to take advantage of that. We're going to be talking about, the different types of patterns and what you can use and place into the system using the repeat and rotation options. We're going to show you how to manage when things change along the way, when those patterns are moving, when people move from different shifts and different days and different times, and they get promoted or whatever it happens to be. People leave, people come and go. And a big part of that is looking at anything that might be in the way. That's, of course, you've probably seen that warning screen with the red banner, and you see the conflicts, and maybe you're not really fully understanding what that means. So we'll show you some examples of that and how to interpret that screen and use it to your advantage to help you get the rotation in place as you wish. And a lot of that has to do with block time. Block time is a big function. It's unique to our system. And in some cases, people have some, a steeper learning curve on how to manage that block time. But it is your friend, and we want to show you how you can use it to your advantage. And there are different methods that people may not be aware of what you can and can't do with block time and how it affects the system. So I'm going to show you some examples of that. And it is getting towards the end of the year, so you want to maybe look ahead to January of this year or January of next year even to look at your rotations, because all rotations expire, right? We don't go indefinitely into the future. You have to take some steps every couple of years to maybe extend some rotations by person, and you'd be able to set them out for another 2 years. It's a very simple process. You only have to do it every couple of years. It takes just a few minutes, and then you're all set. But if you want to have us help you with that, of course, you can do that. And one of those tools you can use when I'm referring to block time and all those other options and managing your changes is the function of date range delete. It's a maybe less used function of the system, and people just see that word delete and ignore it, getting a little anxious about what exactly that means. But it is a very useful tool because it is the exact opposite of repeats and rotations. You can delete and be very specific about what you delete, where you delete it from, and it will only delete what you tell it to over a range of time and the times that you designate. And that's the advantage of that. And with that, of course, a lot of it has to do with that block time that you can go back and forth on, right? Whatever you do, you can undo. So don't make delete such a thing where you just don't want to even approach the idea of it. It's a very useful tool. And if you delete something by mistake, it's easy enough to go ahead and add it back, and we'll show you that. Don't forget, as we have questions along the way, to submit them to Nadine and Nancy. And some of the feedback that we've gotten has been very helpful from you as attendees of these webinars. And we have a survey at the end, so we hope you stick around for that. After the session ends, you'll be submitted a survey for us to for you to fill out, to give us some thoughts and ideas on how we're doing on these webinars. And if you have any ideas on what you might want to cover in the future. One of the feedback items we got was in regards to just the specifics of the examples that we use in these webinars. Now, we cover a wide range of departments and agencies out there. So we try to, use our examples in here to be, maybe a little generic, and hopefully you can apply them to the idea of your situation. So the thought was, can you provide more specific examples that apply to me and my department? That's a little difficult to do in this broad range of a webinar covering everybody. We're happy to do that, but what you can do is take advantage of your support. You have unlimited free tech support. Do not be afraid, or just call us and ask, hey, show me how I can use this to my advantage in my system. You can have your own personal webinar at any time you want. We can provide and just launch up a screen share with you at any point, and we can look at your system together, and we can go through all the specifics that apply to you, and we can, offer our expertise and suggestions on what you can do for that. And you can do that anytime you want, as many times as you want. So we hope you can take advantage of that. But if you have some specific questions that you want to try to get to today, I'll try to cover them at the end at our Q&A, and hopefully it will be beneficial to the rest of the group as well. Okay, I know I'm talking fast, and I'm going through a lot of different ideas and thoughts, so I want to get to some examples here, and forgive my voice if it gets a little bit raspy here. I've been talking quite a lot and using my voice quite a bit this week, so I appreciate your patience and tolerance on that. So let's take a look at our system. Let's get into our sample system for our training here. We're in our example, Joe Burns, and we're going to just start with a simple change in the system. We're going to go right to our schedule views, and we're going to just do a simple look at the administration schedule here. And we're just going to go right into an opportunity to make a change for a rotation. We're looking at our administration schedule here, and we see Mariah here is working on a rotation indicated by the little R. She's working from 9 to 16. Well, what we're going to say here, let's go back to current time here. We're on September 9th, and let's just say starting on Monday the 13th, her hours are going to change. Instead of being 9 to 16, now they're going to maybe match up with Christopher here and be 8 to 17. So what we're going to do is what we're saying is that this rotation for Mariah is no longer valid as of the 13th. So in terms of that chunk of time of that when that rotation exists, what we're saying now is we need to stop that one pattern and start a new pattern as of the 13th. And that's what rotations really are. They're really, you're affecting a range of time in chunks of time. Now, when we originally set this up for Mariah, you can even click on this little R, we could see here that we originally had set the end time of this particular rotation to go out as far as we could at the time into 2023. But now what we're saying is this is no longer true. We're going to change her times. Now, what we can't do is just directly change the values and parameters of this rotation directly, right? It just exists within this range, and that's what you can define. But the one thing you can change is the end time. So what we're going to do we're going to open up a new tab here, and I'm going to suggest that you do this. Use multiple tabs, use multiple windows. If you have two monitors, this is even better. So I'm going to open up another screen here for the repeats and rotations window, and I'm going to go to Mariah. Now, a lot of you have seen this, and we understand this. So, and let me say up front here too, I'm sure a lot of you are on here just because you want to learn how to better use this. Well, as anything in the system, you learn by doing. Now, we understand that these rotations go out for 2 years. Maybe you don't touch them all that often. And so your experience level is very low, and that's fine. With us in support here, we of course deal with this 40 hours a week every week, right? So our learning curve goes right up to the top because we're doing it all the time. Just like anything, the more you practice, the better you get at it. And we understand that this tool is one of those things that you just have to learn, and it just becomes easier to manage once you've learned how to do it a few times. But you can certainly lean on us for any times for that. So let's look at this example from Mariah. And what we're going to do is we're not going to create a new rotation here. We're going to ignore this for now, right? We're going to go right to the bottom here and look at her previous rotations. And here's that previous rotation that goes out until 2023. Now she just happens to have just one previous rotation listed here, but you might have other people that have several rotations because you can be in multiple places, multiple patterns in different places and so forth. So in this case for Seth, we're looking at, the previous rotations that have kind of started and stopped along the way in the past, right? And this is the one that happens to be current. So in Mariah's case, we're looking for the one that is current in this case, that goes out for the range. And there's a modify link over here. And if we click on modify, you'll see that you can't change anything up here. The only thing you can change is the end date. Now we've rearranged the kind of the format of this window lately. There used to be a continue button, if you recall, over here. We've kind of moved it down here to modify down here because the confusion gets to be, I have to delete the rotation. Well, be very cautious in thinking of doing that. I would say probably don't do that ever, because if you delete the rotation, it's going to delete it all the way back to the beginning. You're the admin. You have the ability to adjust history. So if you delete this rotation, it's going to delete every shift all the way back to January. And maybe you don't want to do that. Probably you don't want to do that. You want to maintain history. You want to leave it there. All we're doing is changing the end date and then modifying the rotation. So in this case, we're just saying, as of the 13th, the time matters. So keep in mind what the time is. So let's just say, match it up with the time of when they normally start, September 13th of 2021 at 9 o'clock, and we're going to modify that. Right? So now the previous rotation is that. You can come back here to your other window. You can do a quick refresh of your screen, and now you can see that Mariah is no longer on the schedule after the 13th, which is what we want. Great, right? So now we can go leave the screen open, and you'll notice that, kind of all the same things are already here for us. This is great. We could just say, well, now I'm just going to put her in a new pattern here. Administrators, admin number 2. What did we say? Match it up with Christopher, 8 to 17. 8 to 17. Monday through Friday, that's still checked. That's great. Our dates have changed when they start, right? So we have to adjust this. Go to the 13th, and we can go out until the end of 2023, hit 31 last, locks it in, and now we can continue. Oh, we get a warning screen on work limits. So here's a good example of, it is a warning screen. I'm sure a lot of you have seen this, and you may need to review these warnings in case there needs to be something you need to be aware of, right? In this case, she has an expired certification. So obviously I've used her on other webinars for the CPR certification date examples. So what it's saying is that her CPR is not up to date. Well, what's important if we scroll down here is that we get the opportunity to review each shift along the way of the pattern, all the way through 2023, right? We can keep scrolling. This is every shift that she's being scheduled for. And what we're looking for here is the clear blue sky. That's when you're good to go. If you see everything as a clear blue sky, here's the legend. It will tell you any other details, and there is a confirm changes. Now be aware that it is confirming the changes as it states with the warning in place. So what this confirm means is that you're confirming the warning. You're aware of the warning, you've read through the warnings, you've seen if there's any conflicts, which we'll talk about, and you're just saying, I confirm that I'm aware of all this and I just want to go with it as is, which is fine. And then it says success. And then you have your administrator schedule starting anew out there in the future. Now what's great is you can come over here and refresh your screen and see Mariah in the new spot. Now, another really quick tool here that's really handy that a lot of people don't seem to realize, but I want to make sure you're aware of it, is that right from here, you don't necessarily have to have another window or screen open over here. See these little icons? If you want to check Mariah's schedule and you want to make sure that she's in the right spot without having to, flip back and forth between screens all the time in one window, because every time you come back here, you'd have to reset all this. Leave it. If you're going to do multiple people, click that little button and look at that. It opens up a new window showing you the personal schedule for Mariah, and we can see she's on her 9 to 16, and then she's flipped over to the new times starting the 13th. And you can review that. That's great. And you can close the window and you're right back where you were, and you don't have to reset everything and keep clicking boxes over and over and over. All right, let's show another example. Now, when I set Mariah on that schedule, right, and there were no conflicts, I'm sure a lot of you are just on bated breath waiting for, the conflict thing. The key to repeats and rotations is that there cannot be anything in the way. It has to be open. There can't be any people in the way, and there cannot be any block time in the way. So we're going to this almost could be called a block time webinar, because a lot of what people deal with is that element of block time, because block time is there as a great advantage for you to clean up the schedule so that it looks like this, right? So that there's no open purple shifts randomly all over the place. And if if you're kind of a clean freak and you like to have everything all nice and neat, and you don't want to have any of those open shifts, you can use the block time to cover it up, right? You can use the block time to schedule over those hours that you don't need. Well, here's the little trick that I've used here. Whether you know it or not, I've not turned on open shifts in this particular filter for these administrators, right? If I turn on open shifts, boom, this is what it really looks like. This is showing all shifts that are available and the scheduled shifts. But you're looking at this and you're probably cringing, going, oh, that's just a mess. Look at all that. Well, that's because there is no block time in the schedule. And I did that on purpose in order for it to go clean when we set the repeat and rotation. There's no block time on any part of the schedule. Every schedule's 24 hours. We get to designate what's open and what's not using that block time employee. But in this case, I just opened it up and made it very easy for me to add a new rotation without any worries of block time or conflicts. And that's what you want to get to, right? That's what you want to get to. But in this case, I just decided to not turn them on, right? So there's two approaches to that theory. You can use block time to clean it up. It's like permanently shut down, or not permanently, but shut down the open shifts and cover them up, or just turn them off so that you don't have to have it in front of your face. And everybody gets that choice to turn them on and off. It's a preference on how you manage the system. Let's look at this from a different aspect here. Let's go to our Abbey Road schedule, which is a 24/48 firefighter schedule, EMTs and such. So we can see along the way, different people on 24/48 shifts. There's some opening shifts along the way. We're getting down here maybe to the 11th, and we see we have 3 people on, but normally we have 4. So we have here an example of an Abbey Road station with 3, and we want to add a 4th person to that station. We can do that. So let's go through and go to our Abbey Road schedule. Let's see, who can we pick? Let's pick John Doe here, see if let's just get rid of John Doe from here. Oh, I didn't have one set up for this particular example. My apologies. Let's see, get to somebody quick here who's not on shift. Let's see, Dave or John here. Let's just look at. Let's just quickly look at Dave. We'll get him off. Get him off the police station here for a moment. Okay, we're going to put Dave on that C shift for that particular Abbey Road schedule. We're just going to walk it through right from the top to the bottom. Member, Abbey Road schedule, regular. Now, if you have the float up option turned on in your system, I would be very cautious to maybe not use that unless you really understand what that means. A lot of people tend to skip over this position and leave it as the default float up. But I would caution you to not do that. Choose the position. Be very specific on every single field to choose a value that you mean to have. So let's make Dave EMT number 2. No, Kelly, this is going to be a 24-48 rotation type, repetition type, and we're going to start that on the 11th. Right? That's what we want. Great. Continue. Let's see. Let's go. We get the work limit warning. There's the CPR certification. And then we get down here and we're like, oh boy, here's all the pink with the T's again. You've probably seen this. Now we're saying, according to the legend, that position is already taken. But then you're thinking, well, no, it isn't. If I go to the Abbey Road station, here's EMT number 2. Oh, there's block time in the way. So I can see here there's block time. That's why it's not open on the schedule. We have our 3 guys here, and then 1 and 2 happen to be blocked. Well, okay. And then what a lot of people confuse this confirm with is that they think they're going to confirm it and it's just going to override the block time and just put them in there anyway. No, it will not. It will not do that. As the function is set up and works today, this particular aspect of the functionality of repeats and rotations will never overlay or kick anybody out. It won't. There are some of us that wish it did, but at this time it doesn't. It will not override what's out there. So what we have to do is we have to get rid of that block time first. Now, what I would really recommend is just leave this screen open. Leave it here. This gives you a perfect reference as to what shifts are open and what are closed, and use another window. Use another tab and go and look and say, oh, it's blocked. Well, now I say, well, if it's blocked this day, it's probably blocked every day. So now what do? I got the C shift here. They're blocked all the way along the way. What you can do is basically get rid of the block time using that other tool I mentioned towards the beginning, and that's called date range delete. Date range delete is your tool to basically get rid of block time. That's what I use it for almost exclusively. Unless there's some other manner where I need to get rid of a person, regardless of where they're working, it doesn't matter. But the date range delete tool works basically the same as repeats and rotations. You just got to think opposite. Block time is that concept where you have to kind of think opposite in every way, because block time is doing everything members don't. It's covering up the hours you don't need. We need to delete the block time from the schedule to make it open instead of filling it, right? So the block time member is on the very bottom, and we need to move it. We need to remove it from the Abbey Road station. We need number 2 cleared, leave the rest alone. Abbey Road, number 2, set your times all day. And in this case, we're going to do every day. So you'll notice there's no repetition type here. But here's the beauty of block time. We can add and remove it at will. We can do whatever we want with it. It's just another step. So in this case, let's just remove it from every day. And then at the end, we'll fill it in. We'll fill it in with all the days that we don't necessarily need it on the other shifts. It works out perfect. So we can go September 11th. A lot of people ask about these start and stop times. If you want to match it up, the start and stop times with the start and end time to make it the same, great. You can do that. You don't necessarily have to. Because you're designating the time here, all you got to worry about this times is that it's outside this range. So if this said 6 in the morning, that's fine. It's not going to start till 7 anyway because I defined it up here. But let's just go with it on that respect. So it had a warning screen there because you're deleting, right? You're going to delete block time, and now we've deleted it. And now when we go to the schedule, that EMT2 is open everywhere it was covered with block time. It will only look for the block time and remove it. It will not remove anybody else because we didn't tell it to remove anybody else. We only said block time. So now that block time is open over here. Now the advantage of this is this screen is still here for us. We come back to the other tab, we come back to the other, and we say cancel. We go back to Dave. All the elements are still here. We don't have to go through all this again and set it again. We're just going to try again. Now when we try it again, we get the same CPR certification warning, but now it's clear blue sky. Everything's great. No conflicts along the way. All clean, confirm. Success. You can check, hit the little bubble. Dave's on his Abbey Road station. Excellent. We see that there. We can come back here, refresh the screen. Dave's on his C shift. Great. But now what we can do is cover up what we didn't want in the first place. Now we have these B shifts schedules open on number 2 that we didn't necessarily need. Okay. Now you still have this window open. Go down and cover them back up again. Block time, Abbey Road, number 2, 2448. We know it's B shift, so just back it up a day. For the 10th, it's going to go on a 2448. And we just layer the block time right back over the top. Come back here, now those open shifts are gone. They're not gone, they're just blocked, right? Now that was kind of a step-by-step, kind of the long way, I would say, of doing it over a pattern when it's not a repetition that's, simple like every day. Let me show you another trick on how we can do that without having to go through as many steps. This is the block time overlapping trick. Some of you may have seen this. So let's do the same thing with with the B shift rotation. Let's just go back to that. Since we just blocked it, now let's go put somebody in B shift in that number 2 slot. Let's go back to repeats and rotate. We're still here. We can even just use this again. John's nowhere. We want John to be on the Abbey Road number 2, September 10th, 2448. Now, if we hit continue here, we'll get those conflicts, right? Just like we did before, the pink with the T's. We know that. Now I'm going to show you a different way to approach how to get rid of the block time. Instead of going to date range delete and blocking it, we're going to use an overlap trick where we're going to add block time again on top of the block time. Now, in terms of block time, whether you see it or not, there's the layers of block time. If I see, we already added it once. Let's just add it again. So I put it right over the top of that, right? Now there's 2 layers of block time there, whether you know it or not. But what you're doing is just giving yourself the opportunity on that pattern, because you get to utilize the repetition type now of only every 3rd day, where you don't get that opportunity in date range delete. But what you can do now is you add the block time with the same exact parameters as the person, right? Pretend to schedule the person, but just use block time instead. Then go down and modify it and delete it. Now you do want to delete it, because you'll get this screen that says it has overlapping shifts everywhere along the way. What do you want to do with it? I want to unschedule the overlapping shifts. So what we're doing is basically laying a big piece of double stick tape, and we're removing both layers at the same time. Unschedule the overlapping double shifts, right? And now we go back over here. Now that shift becomes open. We unblocked it, but only every 3rd day. We don't have to do the remove everything and at the end put it all back. This allows you to just do it kind of piecemeal for the specifics of just the one person. And now we can just go right back to John. We don't have to set all this all over again. Everything stays the same. You hit continue, and now it's all clean and blue clear sky. Right? Okay. That's the, I'll show another example of that date range delete block time trick. Now, when a lot of people end up setting repeats and rotations for block time, I showed you in the beginning for members ending rotations early, or that method where you could just delete it and it's just going to take the block time off, and that's fine. But when it comes to block time, that's not necessarily the case. We get a lot of people coming in saying, well, I chose the block time and I went down to here and I found the rotation for, police officer number 3 that was set a long time ago, and I modified it, I deleted it, but it didn't clear it. Well, when it comes to block time, there is so many ways to adjust the block time, like date range delete and repeats and rotations, that's not necessarily the case that this is exactly valid, again, if that makes sense. Just because it's listed here, this is going to sound weird, but just because this rotation is listed here doesn't mean it's real. I know that sounds weird, but all that means is that it was a previous rotation that has been set. All that means is that it's been set. There's many ways to edit the schedule. You could have gone every day along the way, day by day, and made manual adjustments to everywhere along the way. And that's one way, or you did a date range delete. So this doesn't affect this. This is still listed here, but it's not really exactly valid anymore. So let me just put it to you this way. When it comes to block time, ignore all this. Just ignore all this. With block time, you have the freedom to do as you wish. You can add it, you can remove it anytime you want. You have your add and remove tools right here. So just think of it that way. Block time is, it's a great convenience for the schedule to block out those shifts to make it clean and look good. That's great. The fallback is that people don't necessarily have the knowledge or experience to, manage that block time as they wish. They're expecting it to do, it seems to get in their way, when you just have to learn how to manage it. You just have to learn how to add and remove it, because you can. You're the admin. You have the power to make it do whatever you want. So let's use the example back here on the system of scheduling more block time. Now, when a lot of people set up brand new schedules, right? You've probably seen this in the setup of the schedules here, where we say, you set a default shift in here, and it doesn't cover the whole day. I only want my shifts to be 7 to 19, and they create a brand new schedule, and then they come out to the schedule and they go to their brand new schedule, and they're great, and they go, well, wait a minute, why do I have 2 shifts? Why are there 2 shifts every day on the north? I told it I only want the 12 hours. Yes, you did. That's why there's the shift break right there. But every schedule has 24 hours in it, regardless of what you set as the default, right? This is just the default and when the break is. If you don't need these hours, this is the extra step we would just need to take in order to use block time to cover it up. So let's cover it up. Let's cover it up with block time. Let's cover up the Northeast station. Let's cover up everything. But here's the advantage of what you might use here. A lot of, when this says non-shift time, you may not understand what that means. Non-shift literally means that the times that are not part of the shift. You told the system the shift is from 7 to 19. So what's the non-shift time? All the time outside that. If my shift is 7 to 19, my non-shift time is 19 to 7 the next day. The system knows that because you've set the default in the setup in the system. So I don't even have to designate my positions here. I don't have to say all positions. I could say all positions between 19 and 7 the next day. I could. And it will literally block just those hours. I could just hard block those hours. But if I use non-shift time, I don't care. I don't care about the times. I can leave it as the whole 24 hours. It's only going to cover the hours of non-shift time, the hours that are not part of the original shift. Let that go for the whole time. Come back, and the system will cover up the non-shift hours. And if we look at that, block time is on every day from 19 to 7 the next day, and leaving what we have as our default times. All right. Now that's the same similar idea behind, say a special event, right? This all is the management of block time using, as needed for special events. Now, special events are usually, or a training or whatever, a schedule that you would have out there, maybe, for once in a while events. It's a special event, right? It doesn't happen all the time, but there are days you don't know what days are going to where they're going to happen. Maybe it's every Friday for a football game, or somewhere along the way for training or whatever. And you could see along the way, some shifts are open and some are not. So through the management of block time, again, you are deciding what shifts are necessary for any particular day. You could have every day blocked out just like this. It doesn't mean the schedule and the shifts are not there. They're just blocked. And when you get to a Friday or a Saturday or a special day event of a training or whatever, and you need to open up shifts as needed, maybe I need a, one patrol officer and a couple volunteers well, that would be today. And then you have those shifts available to you to use by managing the block time. It can be different every single day. Now we have a lot of schools, training facilities, and things like that have courses, right? That don't happen the same every quarter, every semester, every year. So what they utilize is that same idea, is that they have every class available every day, and they just block it all out in its entirety. And then they just go through every Monday, Wednesday, Friday. I need a CPR training schedule with 2 instructors every Monday, Wednesday, Friday, right? And that's date range delete. So you would just remove the block time using date range delete on that pattern. You would just designate the school, or I mean the schedule, class schedule, how many instructors you need for whatever the times of the class is every Monday, Wednesday, Friday for these 3 months. And it will remove the block time for you over that range all at once and make them open like they are here. So instead of just doing editing for one day, you're using date range delete to remove the block time to make them open for just those days. Let's show another example of that overlapping thing. That's a really cool trick that I really think is helpful. We're going to use a police station here now. And we're looking at, let's see, we're going to look at Dunn here, or Forrester. I don't think she's on there. Oh, she is on there. Okay. Let's go look at the schedule for the police officers here and see what we might need to get filled here. So we have mostly, on a typical day for the police station, we have 1 sergeant and a couple police officers broken into 3 shifts throughout the day. But maybe there's an occasion where we need somebody to fill a patrol officer spot on that 4th spot. Now these particular police officers work what's called a 2-2-3 schedule, which is just off days on a 2-week rotating schedule every other week. So what we need to do is put in another patrol officer that works with the same crew on that same pattern. So it's not every day, it's 2 on, 2 off, 2 and so forth in the 3rd patrol officer spot. And we'll just use Dave again. We'll take him off that schedule we had him on before. We'll delete him from there, and we'll just start fresh here. So here we go again with Dave. So what we want to do is look at maybe at Sherry Jackson's schedule here and make sure that we're on the same pattern. So here's the advantage you can use with that. Let's bring up that personal schedule here again. What was it, Jackson? Yep. So we're looking at Sherry's schedule, and we can see the 2-2-3 schedule. So let's just say we started on Monday again. So it's going to be Monday, Tuesday, then Friday, Saturday, Sunday, and then Wednesday, Thursday on the 2nd week. Great. So let's do that for Dave. We're going to put him in the police station. He's going to be patrol officer number 3, right? We still have this 1, 2, 3. He's going to be on a 2-week schedule now. It's going to be from 7 to 15. And watch when we do this, when we see this date range, says the 9th, and the Thursday lines up with the 9th. As soon as we change it to the 13th, the days of the week match exactly what we choose based on the date we're starting. So it's really handy to come down and get your date range in order. Then we can just go Monday, Tuesday, Sunday, Wednesday, Thursday, so that they're on the same pattern as Sherry and the gang. Right? Now, if we set this, right, we continue this, we get the oops, pink with the T's. Conflict, oh, that's right, there's block time in there. I got to get it out of there first. Cancel. Go back to Dave, right? Everything's exactly the way we had it. Change it to block time. Everything's exactly the same. Set it. find the top one on the block time, modify and delete it, unschedule the overlapping shifts, go back, put it back in Dave. Everything is exactly the same. I haven't touched a thing. Now it's all nice and blue, except for the CPR thing. And confirm. Go back to your window. Jump to the 13th. There's Dave. On a repeating pattern, just right along with everybody else. Go back to the schedule. He's on there as well. So you see how fast I did that? You learn the trick, you know how to do it. Takes just a minute. You put them in there, block time is your friend, it's gone. So we don't have to worry about that. What if we want to take advantage of the block time itself? What if we want the block time in there? What if we want to take advantage of these conflicts that we see? You could do that too. That's kind of even another level of expertise up the road here. If there's block time in there, and you know there's block time in there, and you don't want somebody to go in there on the days that they're blocked, but you want them to go in there on the days that are open, use it to your advantage. Here's an example of that. Kelly days. So if we go to our Rocky Road station, they work, firefighter station, you guys have Kelly days, usually every 3 weeks or whatever it is. You could set up a Kelly day schedule so that you can see on the schedule that they have a Kelly day, so that they get credited on reports and get paid for it. It shows them on the schedule that they're on a Kelly day, and it allows them to have that physical shift to trade it, because that's usually the thing that comes up. They want to be able to trade their Kelly days with other people. Well, if they weren't on the shift, because it's their Kelly day, they have nothing to trade. But in this case, we're going to put it on the schedule so that they have a physical shift that they can actually see and use. We're going to put somebody here on the B shift rotation of a Kelly day schedule. And we'll see how we can use that to our advantage when it comes to setting people and having the conflict in place. We're going to use our friend Matt Zinnel. And we're going to put him on the, what did I say? Where were we putting him on? The Rocky Road station, right? Oh yeah, Rocky Road. But first, we're going to put him on his Kelly day schedule. Now that's a different pattern, right? That's a different repeating pattern. Kelly day rotation. Well, how often is his Kelly day? Well, we figured out it's every, what did we say? 480 hours. So that's, every 20 days. So what we're going to use here is a different repetition type. We're just going to use a custom rotation here. And we're going to say he's going to work one Kelly day, one 24-hour Kelly day, and then he's going to have 20 days off, right? 480 hours. You just have to convert it to hours. And when is that going to start? Let's see, he's in B shift. Let's just say his first Kelly day is down here on the 25th on the B shift. Okay. Now, don't think of it as 24/48. This is just for Kelly days, right? He's going to work the Kelly day rotation, right? And we're going to set that wide open. Good deal. It seems everybody has a CPR certification expiring. But what the advantage of this is now we can go and set his real rotation. He's going to be on the Rocky Road station. I think that's number 1. Make sure. Firefighter number 1, nice and open. Now this rotation is going to be his 24/48, and he's going to start that tomorrow. Right, Rocky Road number 1, 24/48. Now we get the CPR location. You just have to you just have to read these warnings. Time you're trying to schedule with members scheduled elsewhere. Well, that's interesting. Oh, now it's all blue, but there's these pink with the S's. Oh, they're scheduled elsewhere. That's what you want, right? You want, that happens to be his Kelly day schedule, right? We want him to stay there, but we do want him to fill in the holes on his shifts everywhere else. Now, as you'll see, there is an option here where you could force him into that particular schedule, the 24/48 if you wish, but you don't. You want to leave it as it already is. You don't want to change it. So if we confirm that, Success. Hit the little button. And now we can see for Matt, starts tomorrow. Great. He's on his 2448 Kelly day. Keep going. Kelly day. So his Kelly days the Saturdays and happens to fall into that other schedule. And you can see that through the main schedule as well. If you were not aware, I've kind of dived into a couple of different options for custom rotations, these repetition types. Any pattern can be established within the system. Any pattern that repeats can be built within the system. And if you don't find it within the default options up here, you can dive down into these custom rotations and we can get those built for you, right? If you have, it's just hours on, hours off. We just need to know the pattern of what times, what days they have off along the way. And it could be anything. It could go as far out as you want. As long as the pattern repeats itself over time somewhere, we can build that pattern in there for you. So we could put somebody on a complex rotation, as you see here, 4 day, 3 night, 7 off. Let's use Ortega. Go on to the Franklin station, and we'll use that 4 day, 3 night, 7 off. And then in some cases, the instructions are in here too. We can put those in as part of the custom setup to give you a little more explanation of what it really means. Oh, this means he's going to be on 4 12 hours, then he's on 3 nights, and then he's going to have 7 days off. So this is kind of the code behind the scenes that's describing his pattern. He works for 12 hours, then he's off for 12. He's on for 12, he's off for 12. Right, along the way to 7 days off. Right, and you start that when you want, and you can continue, and he layers right in there over that pattern, and it repeats after that length of time. And you'll notice it switches from days to nights, which is, you know, we're just setting the start time, and then the hours here dictate when the following shifts end up starting based on just math. Okay, we're getting kind of wrapped. We're getting at the 45-minute mark. We're getting towards the end here. I just want to mention a couple more things, and I'll look at the questions here in a moment. I did mention that, you know, we're approaching the end of the year, and we help a lot of customers with this. Rotations do expire. So if you're like, you know, getting ahead of the game here and making sure everything's in line, and let's say you get to the end of whatever the year happens to be, and you're going along, let's see, the police schedule. You know, we have our nice police schedule, everybody's on rotations, everything looks great. And then you get along and then you jump into January and then all of a sudden, boom, it's just a world of purple. It's a world of purple and open and everything. And you kind of, where did it all go? Why is it, what happened? Well, like I said, rotations expire, including block time. Block times rotations expire too. So all those non-shift coverings we were doing, or all the hours that you don't normally need, or, you know, for admin schedules, Friday and Saturdays would be open, you know, so there'd be a lot of purple out there. Now we can, of course, it's something you don't normally do. It happens every couple of years. We were happy to, you know, do kind of more of the busy work for you and just extend everything and just make it, we can even use, you know, say December as a template. And if you tell us, hey, just make January and going forward look like December, just do that for me. We'll do that for you. That's fine. Just call us and let us know. We usually kind of reach out and do some proactive work on that just to get people in line so that they're not so shocked when January comes along. But if you want to tackle it on your own, have at her. All you got to do is go into each person one by one, right, and take their rotation. And if it goes out to the end of 22, all you got to do is the same as you did before. If it ends early, end it early. If it needs to end later, end it later. Right? New end date and time, go out another year, another 2 year, wherever we end up going at the time. I don't know if there'll be conflicts on this. Oh, yep. Boy, we're going to really hammer people on CPR. It's all open, and now Jeremy's rotation's been extended through 2023. Now we're good. And you just need to do that basically for each person for each rotation. And like I said, you may have a few members, but rarely does it take very long, especially if it's wide open. And then you do the block time last, right? You want it to be open. It has to be clear. Leave that block time off. Or if it is all blocked out, go to date range delete, step 1, delete all the block time from 2023 on, or whatever it is. Get rid of it all, delete it, do all your extensions, and then come back to rotations and just put it back. Fill in all the holes with the block time. Lots of examples and lots of ideas to go through. I hope I've touched on at least something that applies to you, or at least maybe piqued your interest on what might be more specific to your own session and your own department. Like I said, I try to cover as many generic examples as I can in here, but I'm sure that there's some that I haven't touched for you. So that's when you give us a call. Please do that. Let's look at the questions. If there's anything out there anybody wants to ask, I'm sure Nadine and Nancy have kind of covered the whole gamut of everybody. That's really nice to get that covered while we're talking through all this. If anybody has any questions, you can go ahead and post them out there. Maybe they've answered them all. Maybe you all are just going to be calling us right after the session here, which is fine. And we can get to all the end of the year stuff and get that all cleaned up for you too. As we stick around here today, don't forget about the survey at the end of the session here. I don't see any questions, so I'm just kind of wrap it up here. It's all the management of the block time and just getting things moved around. So just I always say, don't be afraid to try something. I know deleting is a scary thing, but just pay attention and be specific about it. And if it's deleted, that's fine. We can put it back. The system remembers everything, as you know. You can't really break it. You could do a giant eraser to everything and erase everything, and that might take a little work to put it all back, but it can be done. It can be done. So, and we can help you do that. So don't be afraid of that. One thing I'm going to mention here, of course, is next month. We've always evolved all our thing in this functionality in the system, and a big part of that is payroll. So take advantage of next month's webinar, where we're going to really dive into the new payroll module and all the elements that are available within that, and all the specifics that you can set in there. Multiple pay periods for your different groups of people, pay profiles. How do people get paid? Are they paid on time clock? Are they paid on scheduled time? Do they get paid for lunches? Do they, overtime? How does overtime work? Do they get paid on certain time off? Do they not get paid on certain time off? What's included in the pay? Is there shift differential? Do they get paid because they work during the day versus the night? Weekends versus weekdays? You get to dictate that. This is all this is all for the goal of making your payroll report as accurate as possible, so that it can be exported and sent to the payroll provider and have as accurate as payroll as can be, and they can do the translations for the rates and the different time types and everything. So that'll be part of next month's webinar. So I appreciate that for everybody. Thank you for joining us here today. Thank you for the help behind the scenes, Nadine and Nancy and Jesse, of course. And I appreciate you listening along the way, and hopefully you can share this with others and pick up some new tools at your disposal. And then, of course, you can have your own personal one-on-one session with us anytime as a part of support anytime. So appreciate that. Thanks everybody for joining us today, and have a great rest of your day and weekend. Enjoy fall. Thank you.